Nick Shirly uncovering this fraud. He's been doing it for a while now, but I got to just applaud this young individual. He's done a great job at digging into things that most people don't dig into. And he's uncovered just solid fraud that's been going on in basically the spending of our federal funds. Now, I want to ask a real question though. The is it really that hard to find a thief? I mean, thieves are everywhere, and they'll take when they can. And so, what is the real problem here? And that's really what this video is. I mean, I'm not trying to take away from anybody. What Nick Shirley has done and is doing is awesome and amazing. What I'm asking here is what the real problem is, because I don't see that being addressed. I mean, imagine if I went around my neighborhood and forced everybody to give me their gold coins, right? Somehow maybe I did that by saying I'm part of an HOA or whatever it was. I passed some law in the HOA or a little group did, and people had to give me their gold coins. And then I took those gold coins, I put them right out here. Actually, let me show you this. I got going on. Well, my last orchard got stolen from St. Luke's Health System and those thieves over there. And so anyway, got a little orchard going here. But let's say I took those coins and I put them right here in the middle of the orchard. It's not very far from this road. And I just set them there on a pile and said, you know, just set them there. And people came and climbed over the fence here and they started stealing those coins. And then someone comes along and says, oh, look at those bad people stealing those coins. Like, where is it kind of my responsibility to stop people from stealing those coins? Like, what is really going on? And that's how I feel about like this fraud. And we're talking about trillions of dollars of fraud. And I mean, everything from adult daycare centers to immigration services to child care centers, Medicaid, Medicare, all kinds of health services. And there's trillions of dollars of fraud, but like really, what is the problem? And that's what I'm wanting to explore here. Is it really that bad people are stealing things? And so we need to point the bad people out and say they're stealing, because yeah, you've got to stop bad people from stealing, but that's the point. Like, but bad people will steal. They always have. What's the problem here? Maybe that you have a government that is forcing people to give up their hard-earned money, and then they don't really care about that money, and so they're funding all of these services that the people never authorized. I mean, where in the Constitution does it have health care? Where in the Constitution does it say anything about the federal government have authority to provide adult daycare centers or services for immigration services, housing, food, education, all of that? Or, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, Medicare, Medicaid, the health industry, they're all mostly a bunch of frauds. I mean, when you really look into it. So, I mean, whose fault really is it here? They're taking hard-earned money from the people. And remember how they did that. They began to tax the people directly in the early 1900s. the 16th Amendment, 17th Amendment, right there at the same time. Those two things happen, and and now they're directly taking the money from the people, and they're taking trillions of dollars, and then they're not taking care of it, and they're putting it in unconstitutional programs that were never authorized. And now you've got fraud. Well, of course you've got fraud. Of course. I mean, you've got, and whose fault is it? Well, I mean, yeah, it's been going on for many, many years, about a century. So you can't just blame the current Congress. But that's really whose fault this is. It's Congress's fault. And because they have passed unconstitutional bills, most of them are unconstitutional now, that create unconstitutional agencies and unconstitutional services, and then they pass and continue to collect directly from the people, which I guess you can't say it was unconstitutional because there was an amendment, but it was completely against the founders, that there was an income tax. The founders absolutely did not see and predict that our federal government would be directly taxing the people. There was no need for that. The federal government was supposed to be very limited, and they were funded a different way. And so now you have these trillions of dollars coming into this federal agency, going to Washington, D.C., and they're redistributing it all over to all these unconstitutional programs and services. And then, of course, these bad people are getting in line and stealing it. And they're doing it for years, even decades. And no one's even watching or caring because, the people are like, well, I gave it to the federal government, and now it's, I guess, theirs to make sure that it's taken care of. And then Congress, just like anybody else, if you take money that you don't earn, you don't care about it. And so they begin to waste it and allow fraud. That's the real problem here. I know it's taken me a little bit to get to it, but that is the real problem here. The problem is not bad people stealing. Bad people always steal. The problem is that our federal government is directly taking the hard-earned money from people, and then they are using it for whatever program they see fit. And it's been going on for a long, long time. And that's what will happen. I mean, I love that the Republicans, remember, I despise the left. And I'm disgusted with, the Republicans. And I'll just say Democrats, Republicans for the sake of titles or right or left, but because the Republicans want to say, well, look at all these bad people stealing, and the Democrats are like kind of part of it. And they are. There's no doubt about it. But so are the Republicans, because they're the ones that have, promoted this, be a good tax-paying citizen and pay your taxes and, support your country and do all of these things. And, that's what makes you good. And give us your money. This is the Republicans. Give us your money. And then, and then what do with it? They allow it to go out to all these corrupt programs and unconstitutional agencies, and they don't keep their word, and they're just as bad. They don't care about it. I mean, they don't. But then the Democrats, the left, which is probably the better term, but the left, you have to understand that this is their whole program. Because what is the left and the Democrats? They live off of other people. That's how they survive. And this system, which we want to call fraud, to them is just a redistribution of wealth. It's fundamentally in them. That's who they are. That's what their whole system is built on. Is taking other people's wealth and living off of it. And that's what the left does. And the Republicans are almost as bad because they want to use government to basically get an advantage for them and their buddies. But that's not so much about what this video is about. But you have to understand the Democrats, that's why they're not going to support someone like Nick Shirly in covering fraud, exposing it, even though it's been going on for a long time. And even though the Republicans are just as responsible for it than the Democrats. But that's what's going on. But the problem is not, there are always going to be thieves, always going to be wicked people. They do have to be stopped. But the problem is Congress and federal government is not stopping them. They're feeding them. They're funding them. If we would stick to the Constitution, people say the Constitution. If you have no limit on government, which is what the Constitution does, then they have no limit. If there's no limit, there's no Constitution, there's no limit. And so, that's what the Constitution is supposed to provide, a limit. But now they just go and they say, well, we do whatever we want, whatever Congress passes. Well, that's what's got us here. And I don't want to go too much down into a theory, but that is not being talked about. All this is being talked about in these congressional hearings, and even what Nick Shirly is talking about, they just want to talk about the fraudsters, which, I'm glad, and it's amazing that the research and what he's exposed, but he doesn't want to talk about, even Nick Shirley doesn't want to talk about, like, maybe we shouldn't have to be paying these taxes. Maybe the federal government shouldn't be having these programs. Maybe the programs themselves are what caused the fraud, what allowed the fraud. Of course it is. That's what it is. If I put money in the middle of my orchard here and I just collect it from however and I put it here in coins, gold coins, and I don't protect it, do you think someone's going to take it? You're dang right they will. They'll climb over this fence every night and every minute they can and grab a handful. And then to say, well, they're the bad ones. Well, yeah, they're bad because they're taking something they didn't earn, right? But they're not as bad as me taking it from all the other people and then not taking care of it and protecting it. One is I shouldn't take it in the first place. It's not mine. I didn't earn it. And two is if I did take it, I damn well should protect it. And if someone else takes it, I shouldn't be crying and saying, oh, they took it. That's just the reality. And so, we build up these massive programs that are unconstitutional, that shouldn't be there, that the government has no business doing it, that the government is not competent to even do it. And then we dump billions of dollars into each of these programs, trillions of dollars into them, and then we don't watch and protect them and make sure that they're functioning and doing what they're supposed to, and then we wonder why there's trillions of dollars of fraud. Am I the only one that sees this as insane? I'm sure I'm not. But I had my uncle send me a video of Nick Shirley this morning, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm going, look, the problem is not the fraudsters. The problem is Congress and the federal government and our system that's taking the wealth from the people up into there, taking the wealth from the people up into Washington, D.C. Anyway, that's how I see it. You might disagree, but we need to clean house. The federal government has a very few things that they were authorized to do. And the Constitution is very clear on it. And we need to clean house. We need to get rid of these people, or our country's doomed. Our country's doomed. We're $40 trillion in debt. We're barely paying our interest. And we have people stealing 700 trillion here, or billion here, 40 billion there, trillions of dollars, and it's been going on for decades. And then the big problem is we are giving our money, our hard-earned funds, to the federal government and to our state governments, and they're, just allowing it to be stolen. And our people, our young people, all of us need those funds. We don't need to be giving it to the federal government. We'll take care of it much better than them. We'll use it much better, And we need clean house. We need to get back. I don't know how we do it. We thought Trump was going to do it, but he's just completely been a disappointment this term, in my opinion. He started, but he didn't have the guts or the ability or the power, or he got caught up in all this Epstein crap. I don't know. Something's changed, but this country, as it is doomed the direction we're going, and that's what it is. So thank you. I hope I make sense. I know I rattled on